In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through my exact posting process, schedule, and how I turn one idea into 45 plus pieces of content. I feel like that sounds like clickbait, and I promise it's not. It's actually a super simple process that even a team of one could keep up with. So in a previous video, I've talked about how it's easier to use overarching themes for when you are coming up with ideas to post, rather than assigning each piece of content its own unique idea. But today we're going to talk about how to actually implement that. So that way, instead of just one piece of content per idea that you have, we're turning that into multiple and putting you across a ton of different platforms. And hi, if we haven't met, my name is Lex. I am the owner of Page Media Co. and the creator of the Social Media Survival Guide, which is an immersive experience designed to help you survive social media as simply as possible. So whether you're a business owner running your own social media accounts for your brand or your business, or you're a social media manager just looking for more support in your business, the guide is going to have something for you. You can connect with me directly on socials or visit the socialmediasurvivalguide.com for everything else. You know exactly why we're here, so let's get started. I'm sure you've heard a social media expert in the past, myself included, saying that you need to be posting a lot in a week if you want to see any sort of change or growth on your social media platforms. And I'm sure you've thought to yourself, how do I come up with that many ideas? And the good news is that you don't have to. So there's actually two things that we need to talk about before we get into the actual process and schedule of what I'm posting each week. For one is that you need to understand what your specific content pillars are, as well as your target audience. If you go back and watch this video, we talk way more in depth about figuring out which platforms are correct for your business based on the demographics of the users that are on them. And when it comes to choosing this overarching theme for your content, again, it's going to be very important that you fully have an understanding of what your content pillars are. That way you know exactly which topics to touch on. And number two, you need to know exactly what your goals are with posting on social media. Again, what we're about to go through is my specific posting process and schedule. And at the end of the day, social media is just a small part of the entire puzzle that moves the needle in your business, meaning that there's a ton more depth that we could go in, even with just the content that's in this video, which is why it's really important to understand what the goal is that you're trying to accomplish by posting on social media. And that goal doesn't always have to look like a social media goal. It can be more enrollments to your course. It can be more clients for your service business. So again, fully understanding your pillars, your audience, and your goals is vital when you are coming up with these overarching themes. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through what I'm posting day by day. First, I'm gonna show you how I come up with all of that content, and then at the end, I'll show you an actual mapped out visual of my week and what's getting posted to which platforms. So step one, we need to pick an overarching theme. Now again, this is for my schedule personally, and I'm sure there are people that will say what I'm about to tell you is repetitive, but just stick with me because I promise this is a super simple process. So whatever I choose as an overarching theme is my theme for every piece of content that I'm creating that week. Now I usually derive my overarching theme based off of the most frequently asked questions that I'm getting from both my community and inside of my DMs. But if you need help coming up with some ideas for what your overarching theme could be, again, I recommend first analyzing the questions that your audience is asking you on a routine basis, or start here and use these question prompts. Who is, what does, when should I, why is, and how do I? Now again, you want to ask these questions while surrounding your content pillars. So for me specifically, I'm going to tell you an example of each of these using my niche of social media. So the who is question, for example, I will get this question in the form of who is TikTok right for, or who is Instagram right for, or who is YouTube right for. So think about the topics surrounding your content pillars, or even just keywords, and think of any questions that somebody would be asking that start with who is. Now, depending on who you are and what product or service you offer, the wording of it will be a little bit different, but start there. What does, so this for an example would be, what does your product or service do? What does your product do to help me with X, Y, and Z? So the question of when should I want you to think of like a meditation coach, or somebody who teaches people how to meditate. A question that would be an example of when should I would be somebody asking that meditation coach, when should I implement your meditation practices into my routine? So that could be somebody asking if they're ready for these practices. That could be somebody asking when throughout their day they should be adding in this practice. And then how do I? So I help a lot of social media managers start their own business. So for me, for an example, I get this question in the form of, how do I start social media management? Or I'll get this from a small business saying, how do I get myself on Instagram successfully? So again, take the keywords or your content pillars as a whole and ask yourself a variety of questions that start with these prompts. Now, once I've chosen that overarching theme, right away, I'm gonna go ahead and make a YouTube video and record a podcast episode both talking about that topic. Now, even the way that I approach these two pieces of content is very differently. So I usually focus my YouTube video on being more structured, more of an educational process type of video that somebody could watch and genuinely take actionable steps from. Whereas my podcast usually focuses on personal experiences with these things. I like to bring guests on to kind of emphasize whatever topic we're talking about. It's way more chill. It's more so like we're on a FaceTime call. So again, even from that one idea, I already have two long form pieces of content that are very, very different from each other. So we're going to keep track up in this corner of how many pieces of content we're actually getting posted per week. So right now we're up to 2 with that long form YouTube video and the long form podcast episode. Now immediately with this YouTube video, what I do is I put it into Descript and turn the transcription of that into a blog post where the YouTube video is both embedded in there and then a ton of call to actions to see other helpful content. So again, repurposing kind of what that YouTube video is about, but putting it into a reader friendly version because some people like to learn via video, some people like to learn via text. So I like to have as many options as possible. But turning that into a blog post doesn't require a ton of extra work, especially when you're using Descript. So what Descript does, and this is not sponsored, what Descript does is puts the video into text. So you can upload your YouTube video, you can upload your podcast episode, and it will spit out everything that you say in that MP3 into a text that you can copy and paste. So really all I have to do is take that, add a couple format edits, and it turns into a blog post. So our content posted so far in the week is up to 3. Now, like I said in the beginning, you do have to take into consideration which platforms are right for you and your business. My 2 primary platforms are TikTok and Instagram. So as I'm going through and repurposing this content, I want to make sure that I'm creating content specifically for that platform. So starting with Instagram, from that YouTube video, I'm going to pull 2 different clips that are both under or around 30 seconds long, and I'm going to repurpose those into Reels. Also from either that YouTube video or the transcript that I have written out for the blog post, I'm going to condense it and turn it into a carousel post. Now, still on Instagram, I'm going to do a little trend research and find something on Reels that is trending, but that I can also really relate to this topic of the overarching theme and really emphasize the point of it. Now, I like to do the trends because I like the trends. If you are not a trending audio kind of person, that's okay. But again, I really try to find the ones that are going to help me emphasize the point of the overarching theme. Now, because I like to create content that helps others accomplish things when it comes to either their social media or just a task in general, I'm actually going to take this overarching theme, turn it into a mini training, and then make that another speaking video for Instagram. So this is putting us at 5 posts on Instagram, which is what I normally post Monday through Friday once per day, and our content piece counter is up to 8. Okay, so now let's move to TikTok. So same thing on this platform. I'm again going to be using those 2 clips that I pulled for Instagram. Then I'm also going to find something that's trending over on TikTok. And then because TikTok is primarily video, it really won't make sense to take the exact carousel post from Instagram and just repurpose it onto TikTok. So actually what I'm gonna do is take a video of myself speaking what the different slides of the carousel say. And then I'll also be repurposing that tutorial or how-to video that I made for Instagram onto TikTok. So with super minimal work, we just added on 5 posts. Our account is up to 13, and we now are getting a post up on TikTok Monday through Friday. So this is what a normal week looks like of everything mapped out that is going to be posted across all of these platforms, just to get a post up once a day, Monday through Friday, on 2 different platforms, and to maintain a YouTube, a podcast, and a blog. So yes, that is a lot, but we're not stopping there because there's a ton of ways to repurpose content that you're already posting, again, onto different platforms. The reason I like to do separate trends for both Instagram and TikTok is, again, the platforms are different. So different things are more visible on different platforms, different things trend at different times. But when it comes to these additional resources that you can add in, you don't actually have to be creating any extra content from scratch. You're just using what you already have. Now, I don't normally talk about these things because I do not consider myself an expert on any of these platforms. However, I do implement each of them into my own business, so I feel it is only fair to share. Pinterest, YouTube, and email marketing. So Pinterest, what I do is I repurpose everything. So anything that gets posted to Instagram or TikTok, because there are different ways that different pieces of content should be repurposed onto the platform. For example, there's idea pins, there's static pins, there's pins that you can have direct links to it, just like a lot of different pins. But the way that Pinterest works is it needs content that is hosted elsewhere in order to link back to when you're creating your pins. So what I do at the end of each week is I go through and I schedule out at least one pin per piece of content that was posted that week. So that includes everything that you see right here in this weekly view is doubling onto Pinterest. So at the minimum, each week I have 13 new pins going out. However, because they're so easy to make, I'm usually doing 2 per piece of content that was posted. So actually on a good week, I have 26 different pins that are going out, all that are linking back to content I've already made and already posted elsewhere. Now our content counter is technically up to 39 and all of our previous content is being republished and redistributed. So it's a win-win. Next is YouTube Shorts. I again do not consider myself an expert on the YouTube Shorts platform. However, what I do is I take my 5 highest performing videos from the previous week and I repurpose them onto YouTube Shorts. Again, scheduling one per day, Monday through Friday, bringing our content counter up to 44 different pieces of content that are being published in a week. Now for email marketing. Now I take pretty much everything that you see in this weekly view and turn it into an email for my email list. I do like to include some fresh ideas in there, so any additional tutorials or step-by-step information that I can provide about this overarching theme, I will put it into that email. But with that one email blast going up, we are up to 45 pieces of content that are published every week, having to make minimal original content for each platform. Now, is this a lot? Yeah, it's a lot. Is this what you have to do down to a T? No. It really depends on which season of business you're in. It depends on what your goals are. It depends on what funnels you have set up. But this process is something that I primarily manage by myself. And I know a lot of other business owners are in a boat where they're trying to do all of their marketing by themselves. So I wanted to walk you through my exact process and systems in hopes that it will help you simply be in a lot of places at once, which never sounds simple. So I wanted to give you as much as I possibly could and walk you through the back end of exactly how I'm creating a lot of content each week, even though it's just being repurposed across a bunch of different platforms. And I've attached a ton of resources in the description that will help you with this process, including my favorite repurpose.io. Again, not sponsored, just one of my favorite platforms for repurposing content. And as always, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments or shoot me a DM over on Instagram, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!